Steel Ball Run is on the horizon, and I know everybody's looking forward to its release. With the trailer we've gotten, there's some important information on there that people might have missed. And in fact, that does seem to be the case. To be honest, this whole video was inspired by a Reddit post. Under the post of the official teaser, you can see this as the top comment. Because there's so many people in agreement with this comment that it was the most upvoted, I feel like some clarification is needed. I understand that this doesn't represent the whole fanbase, but if enough people are confused by the subject of hand-drawn versus CGI horses, it's an important enough topic to discuss. Besides, I also want to talk about the very high probability of batch releases. Just think of this as a video or PSA to curb everyone's expectation when going into our first look at Steel Ball Run. Let's get the easier of the two out of the way, and actually maybe the more important question people have regarding the show. The release schedule. A common misconception I keep seeing online are people thinking there's an official confirmation on the release format. I see a lot more people thinking we are getting weekly releases, but again, nothing is confirmed. We will only know come March 19th. That being said, I think I have a pretty good clue on which way it's leaning. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we're likely getting a batch release like Stone Ocean rather than the more traditional weekly releases. That isn't to say weekly releases are completely off the table. Let me explain why I think batches are more likely. The fact that Steel Ball Run is a Netflix original is already a bad sign. But Wong Diggity, Netflix has done weekly releases in the past for all sorts of shows, including anime. That is true, and this is something I've talked about before too, but the situation has changed and so has my opinion. First of all, let's consider the precedent of Part 6. This format, while not what fans prefer, worked for Netflix. After all, this is their entire business model and what made them successful in the first place. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think that same logic will be applied to Part 7. But just this reasoning alone makes a flimsy argument. So I'd like to turn our attention to one of Netflix's largest series that just received its final season, Stranger Things. When talking about Steel Ball Run, you can consider it the anime equivalent of Stranger Things in terms of popularity and magnitude of the show. The last 2 seasons of that show were done in batches. This is a departure from the earlier seasons of dropping all the episodes at once. There's obviously a multitude of reasons for that, but we can see that Netflix is favoring the batch releases as a middle ground between weekly and all the episodes at the same time. By the same logic, Steel Ball Run, one of Netflix's most anticipated anime series, will probably get the same treatment. If that isn't evidence enough, take a look at the trailer. Right there, March 19, first stage. At first, I was like, surely they're calling it a stage because that's what they want to name the episodes, like some other anime out there being creative with their episode namings. But that's when I realized I'm coping, and calling it a stage most likely refers to the show being released in batches. That being said, it probably won't follow the manga the way it has 9 stages. I've also talked about it in a previous video, but there are natural ending points if they want to do 3 batches like Stone Ocean. I can go on and talk about no TV broadcast date and some other stuff, but I think with the examples I've given already, we get the point. Like I said, nothing is official, so we'll have to see on March 19th what we get on Netflix. I could very well be wrong here, which is probably what most people want, but one thing I'm confident I'm not wrong about are the CGI horses. I'm sure some of you are already thinking, no, not the batch releases and CGI horses for my favorite part. When it comes to the topic of CGI, it is the boogeyman in the anime industry. People often think of the bad examples because of the connotation CGI has. Its use in anime coincides with taking shortcuts or lower quality animations compared to hand-drawn. And people aren't wrong. It is often used as a substitute for hard to animate scenes or used to animate unimportant assets. These 2 reasons happen to perfectly coincide with the roles of the horses in Part 7 and why they will sometimes be computer animated. So we're probably getting a mix between the 2, which I will talk about later. And before you guys get the wrong idea, I don't think using CGI is necessarily a bad thing. When CGI is utilized properly, it can help make animators' life easier without being detrimental to the final product. Horses being hard to animate should come as no surprise. Numerous 4-legged creatures galloping at a high speed is not something you can easily animate unless you make the horses have the cartoonish running using circles. This animation technique is known as Wheel of Feet, by the way. So we have established that animating horses is hard. Now you may ask, what about the unimportant assets you mentioned earlier? How are the horses unimportant assets? They are literally the premise of the Steel Ball Run race. The racers are supposed to be racing across the US by horse. While the horses are an important driving point for the plot, what really matters and what us viewers here for are the jockeys. This isn't Uma Musume where we're rooting for our favorite horse girl to win. We're here to watch stand users punch the crap out of each other in epic battles that changes color palettes every 30 seconds. Although if you do partake in a little horse girl racing, you should check out my Twitch or my TikTok. Anyway, back to JoJo. Speaking of the past, Daver Productions and the series as a whole have not been strangers to using CGI. I'm not just talking about the openings. Part 6 itself probably has the most extensive use of CGI the series has ever seen. Lang Wrangler, Dragon's Dream, White Snake, and a bunch more were animated using CGI. My theory is that they were trying to utilize these tools to meet deadlines and also as a way to learn and incorporate newer technologies because it definitely saves them time and money. So moving forward, after learning how to better utilize computer-assisted animation, they'll most likely use it for Steel Ball Run. We also have to consider that they're probably working on a similar time constraint of Part 6's batch releases, which means they're animating multiple episodes in a shorter time span. But if you're not convinced, let's turn the clock back a little bit more using Bites the Dust. Wait, not far enough. Okay, much better. The reason why we're back in part 2 is because CGI horses have been a thing since 2013. In the rematch of Joseph against Wamu, the horses in this shot are CGI. In fact, all of the moving parts are CGI, including Wamu and the chariot. I said earlier that proper usage of CGI is unintrusive and saves animators time and money. So now there's multiple precedents, but if that isn't enough to convince you that Steel Ball Run will be using CGI horses, I have one last piece of evidence to present. This last piece of evidence should have been all that I needed, but I wanted to save it for last. It should be simple and obvious. But remember that the comment that led to this video had this exact same piece of information, but didn't realize what they were looking at. Keep in mind the comment was left under a post that included the full teaser video for the anime. So if people on the internet can't tell what's in front of their face, I figured I needed to show some supporting evidence besides this trailer. Plus, I also wanted to talk about the release schedule of the show. Now, let's take a look at the trailer. 16 seconds in, we get our first look at the horses. Those with a keen eye can probably tell from the way they move that these horses are CGI. If we continue the video, the movement should be enough to convince you. This same shot is also on the teaser that I was talking about. Referring back to the trailer, you can see that there are other moments of horses being CGI sprinkled in but is a little less obvious. And all of that brings us full circle. Many of the shots in the trailer had a lot of movement or didn't linger for more than a split second. While the editing and pacing will be different compared to the final product, there's some important information we can get from this. In a lot of the static shots, the horses seem to be hand-drawn. The same goes for the more important sequences too. This likely means that Steel Ball Run will have a balance between the two animation styles in a non-intrusive way. Looking again at the past, that seems to be the case when it comes to utilizing CGI in the series, minus the Lang Wrangler fight. I don't know what they're thinking with that one. This won't be the first time horses or CGI will be introduced to the series. Daver Productions is experienced in this regard, so it's not something you should worry about. I'm sure you'll enjoy Steel Ball Run regardless. I'm looking forward to the first batch on March 19th, and I'll have more JoJo content coming to you very soon. Until next time, Wong Diggity out.